it when we won't get his mouth noises for one.
Finally, huh? Old clicky boy Jim. So what are we looking at in the first round? You're not taking Devontae?
I'm not taking Devontae. I'm gonna try to take Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know why I can't say his name now.
You want to try that again?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Almost sounds racist. They're anti-Semitic.
Well, his mom named him that. That ain't my problem.
Yeah, you didn't do that.
Do you remember last year when someone stole his bike? And it was like, you don't remember that? And it was like super sad, and he was like posting, please return my bike. And I think Antonio Brown, when he was still with him, was like, hey, can you please return Juju's bike? And all of this was a big deal. Okay, he's a football player. I'm assuming he has, well, actually, I don't know. I think he was like a late round pick.
So maybe he didn't get a great contract?
He probably didn't have that much money.
Right.
Okay, have you been watching Hard Knocks?
No. I don't have access to HBO.
Oh, right. I wish you would, because obviously Antonio Brown's on it, and I am pretty sure he is like on some sort of narcotic, or like he's on something, because he's always like, his eyes are like real slanty, and he's just like, hey man, what's up, man? It's just like, I didn't really notice it in the first couple episodes, and then I heard a podcast talk about it, and then I was paying attention yesterday, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is fucking high as fuck.
You think it's a little fall from grace for star receiver?
Well, obviously, he had the frostbite feet.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they didn't give him like some painkillers or like something to keep him nice and comatose, because I imagine that hurts really bad. Sure. They're like, how are they fixing it? He's like, we just keep cutting the skin off of it.
Remove the dead skin.
Yeah. Can you imagine you're just like peeling the skin back on your feet and just like scissoring it off?
Now imagine if your dog came up and ate it.
Was that Casey who was talking about that cat who ate the top of his head? The cat who was like 26 years old just started eating the top of its own head.
Yeah, its head fell off, or the scalp fell off, and it just ate it.
I was like, if its head fell off, how would it keep eating itself?
Yeah. Just the top skin part. That's disgusting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bumblebutt Podcast, the only podcast on the internet that uploads weekly. Who knows what it'll be about? Certainly not me. My name is Adam. Sitting across from me only today is Cody. How are you, Cody?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's weird to do this without Jordan.
Yeah, a little bit. Where is he?
Who knows?
Is he dead?
Dead?
Is he dead?
I guess so, yeah. In the canon, right?
Allegedly. We're saying allegedly he is with his future wife.
Fiancé, they call that.
Okay. We're not French here.
His betrothed.
But he is having dinner or something with them.
At like a fancy spot?
I didn't ask. I don't know what he's doing.
McDonald's?
What if that's all they were? Is like, I can't come, guys. I got to get a Big Mac combo.
Yeah, I got to go to the BK place.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's too fancy for that, don't you think?
Yeah.
He thinks he's too hoity-toity.
Yeah, they probably went to like Shake Shack at the mall or something. They were like, it's the only one in Minnesota, bro.
Okay, I got this confused between Shake Shack and Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steak and Shake is
a different
good.
thing. Not really.
It's supposed to be like Whataburger and like...
Steak? No.
No?
What? Steak and Shake? No.
What's the New York one that's supposed to be like Whataburger and like In-N-Out?
That might be Shake Shack.
You think it's Shake Shack?
Yeah.
Okay. It could be. I don't know. Is it good? Have you had it?
I haven't.
Okay, what do they serve at Shake Shack?
I hope shakes. For God's sakes. And hamburgers. I know it's shakes and hamburgers.
Well, I'm assuming there's not actually steaks.
It's not. You're thinking of Steak and Shake again. You're saying the wrong things over and over.
Wait, what's the other one?
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Okay. All right. You know who I think has really good shakes?
Who?
Is Potbelly.
Potbelly? I didn't even know they had shakes.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
No, I thought they were just sandwiches.
Are you a big fan of hot sandwiches? Toasted sandwiches?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Quiznos, for introducing that into my life. Yes.
But Potbelly's is fantastic. You like it?
Yeah, I do. I think it's overpriced.
It's like $8.
I'd rather have a Jersey Mike for that price.
Okay, I still need to go there.
The Philly steak is pretty freaking good.
So, does Jersey Mike has hot or cold sandwiches?
Yeah.
Okay. And the Philly steak is...
hot, obviously.
Yeah, and you say it's highly recommended.
I think it's bueno.
Okay, so it's that time of the year. Have you went to the state fair? Are you planning on going to the state fair?
Yeah, I'll be there. I haven't been yet, but I will be there for sure.
Don't you usually go on weekends?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it when it's jam-packed a little bit.
Are you a big people watcher?
That's one of the main reasons to go.
Okay. The last time I went, I think I might have talked about on this show where the gentleman with a wife beater on had a big prison swastika on his arm that he was obviously displaying to everybody to be a badass.
No, they come in all shapes and forms. Listen, Minnesota is not a guilt-free state,
No,
all right? The dregs of the universe come up as well.
He's the first ever person in Minnesota I've seen with
open hate tattoos.
Yeah. I've heard there's skinheads here, but I've never seen them. Was it Casey was telling me he got chased by hammer skins or something? Or was that his friend?
Hammer skins? I don't know.
He told me one time, like, it was either him or his friend flicked him off, and they followed him home.
Well, it would make sense only because around the time when he was growing up, there was a lot of, like, white power groups that were pretty active and recruiting around this area. So I could see that.
What area was he? Was he Ham Lake? No, Fridley.
No, Spring Lake Park, Fridley.
Okay.
Blaine.
Okay, so there's a lot of white power groups up there. Okay.
And down here, too.
I haven't seen any down here.
Well, you weren't here in, like, the mid-90s.
They've moved away. Yeah. They've moved away. Okay.
They kind of got, forced out. Gentrified out, I guess. I don't know.
They gentrified out the hate gangs?
Yeah, like the trash. Because that's what they were, is just poor white trash.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Well, Adam, you're taking the reins this week.
What?
So, yeah, I'm taking a break.
I didn't write anything.
You didn't do anything at all?
None.
So you're going to just make up a story?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
So this one is about a witch.
A witch?
In Ireland.
Okay, is it Oprah Winfrey?
It isn't. I don't know how it could be. I don't know if she has any Irish roots whatsoever.
You don't think so?
Oprah Winfrey.
She looks a little Celtic to me. No?
No, I don't think so. All right, guys, this is the story. I did prepare, by the way. That whole thing was a goof. I played a trick on you. Happy April Fools. Happy Halloween. This episode is about Alice Kyteler. Roughly an hour and a half drive southwest from Dublin on the M9 lies County Kilkenny. When this story takes place, the M9 didn't exist yet and wouldn't for over 650 years. The M9 motorway, of course, began operating in 1994 and finished construction officially in 2010.
So they're a little bit behind the rest of the world in building a highway. Is that
just
what you're saying?
M9.
Just the M9,
yeah.
Okay.
Like, this is pretty much, it was made for a straight shot for Kilkenny to Dublin.
Do you know in Ireland, do they refer to all their highways as M whatever?
Yeah, motorway.
Okay.
I believe.
I kind of like that better than like I whatever.
Yeah.
Like we do.
Yeah. Interstate or local highway or county highway.
What do we have here? We have I-94, I-35. Feel like I'm missing some. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fuck Minnesota.
It's all dumb. It all sucks. County Kilkenny lies in the historic Gaelic kingdom of Osray, which also happened to share the title of Bishopric or Diocese of Osray. This will cause some problems later on between nobles and church officials. They can never get along on the best of days, and now that one title represented both the church and the nobility, it was going to be a bit of a problem.
Okay, I was going to say diocese generally is referring to Catholics.
Correct, my friend. Okay. Especially around this time.
Do you think, in Ireland around this time, you think, like, what percentage of the population was Catholic?
All of them.
All of them. They didn't let no Protestants, no. Nothing.
The Pope reigned supreme in 1324 in Ireland.
Do you know which Pope it was?
I will tell you.
Oh, let's go.
He comes up in this very story, in fact.
The most powerful magician of the time.
That's right. Do you know how cathedrals get their names, Cody?
I don't.
I'll tell you. The bishop's chair/throne was called a cathedra, and cathedral means the house that holds the throne.
Oh, okay.
At the time in 1324, the bishop of Osray was Richard de Ledred, a Franciscan friar and an Englishman by birth. He began to smell something fishy in his diocese early on in that year when he found there was a band of heretical sorcerers running wild, the head of whom was none other than Dame Alice Kyteler.
So did you put Dame in there, or is that how she went by?
She is a dame.
She is a dame.
lady.
Okay. I feel like Alice is like the most generic Irish female's name.
Oh, yeah. You'd be right on the head there.
Sorcerers, though, I love that.
We're in there. Hey, we're in there.
I think a sorcerer is different than a witch, though.
No.
The same?
Not in this case.
Not in this case, okay.
Or at least not in this text.
When I hear sorcerer, I think of, like, Diablo.
Oh, of course.
So,
Of course.
could we call her a witch? But hold on now. They have sorcerers, and then they have witch doctors.
Mm-hmm.
They're different.
And they have necromancers.
But technically, they're all the same, according to the Catholic Church.
Right.
Okay.
They're just evil magic users that forsake Christ.
I want to go into the Vatican in like a full dress, like maybe Gandalf or something, and
Sure.
start like casting spells on the Pope and see if they behead me in their public square.
I think they would. I think you would definitely get beheaded in the
That's on the bucket list.
All right. Let's make that close to the last one in case they do actually kill you. The following charges were laid against the heretics by the church. Number 1, they had denied the faith of Christ absolutely for a year or a month, according as the object they desired to gain through sorcery was of greater or less importance. During all that period, they believed in none of the doctrines of the church, they did not adore the body of Christ, nor enter a sacred building to hear Mass, nor make use of consecrated bread or holy water.
Oh, okay.
They gave up completely on the faith of Christ.
Okay, so obviously a year and a month are like quite a bit different gap of time. So if you're less than a month, you're like, maybe you take a week and you don't believe in Christ, you're fine, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think you can have like a crisis of conscience, but any more than a month to a year, this is a charge.
I do feel like, I'll give him credit, I feel like the body of Christ probably tasted a little better here than it does now.
Probably.
Because there's probably actually like fresh
Homemade,
bread and
yeah.
not just like...
Some Chinese cracker factory.
Yeah, I don't know how you even make bread that tastes like cardboard or styrofoam.
Me neither. Number 2, they offered in sacrifice to demons living animals, which they dismembered and then distributed at crossroads to a certain evil spirit of low rank named the Son of Art.
The art bell.
The art bell. Number 3, they sought by their sorcery advice and responses from demons.
Fuck yeah. Dude, we'd be dead.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
I do this.
Yes.
I was telling someone how your partner, Yasin,
Yeah.
thinks that when I'm sleeping, demons come...
He thinks
do
you
stuff.
float 3 inches off your bed every night.
He thinks demons do things to me while I'm sleeping.
Yeah. He thinks you get molested by demons in your sleep. Number 4, in their nightly meetings, they blasphemously imitated the power of the church by fulminating sentence of excommunication with lighted candles, even against their own husbands.
Whoa.
From the sole of their feet to the crown of their head, naming each part expressly, and then concluded by extinguishing the candles and renouncing God for good.
Okay.
So they cast him out of every body part individually.
Here's the other thing. Like, churches do this. Like, they light candles and then they blow them out.
But this
I
is
guess
the
they're not-
opposite.
Oh, okay.
They're not like trying to excommunicate God from their bodies.
Well, they're
from their
trying to do it to
souls.
Satan.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
This is like a reverse. Number 5, in order to arouse feelings of love or hatred to inflict death or disease on the bodies of the faithful, they made use of powders, unguents, ointments, and candles of fat, which were compounded as follows. They took the entrails of roosters sacrificed to demons, certain horrible worms, various unspecified herbs, dead men's nails,
Yeah.
the hair, brains, and death shrouds of unbaptized boys, all of which they cooked with various incantations over a fire of oak logs. in a vessel made out of the skull of a decapitated thief.
Sounds like a shepherd's pie.
A delicious, delicious mama's shepherd's pie.
So are they just saying they did this, or they actually know they did this?
These are the charges that were brought against this coven.
Okay, so probably none of this happened.
Who knows, right?
Okay, so how do you sacrifice worms?
You know, I don't know if the worms were a sacrifice or just like an ingredient. Like, just toss them in the pot.
Oh, okay.
I guess that is still a sacrifice.
Can you imagine, like, a bunch of witches holding up a worm and just, like, cutting its throat?
Yeah.
Like, nothing comes out of it
Bleed
but shit.
the worm. Yeah, and then it's still just, like, crawling around.
Yeah.
Number 6. The children of Dame Alice's 4 husbands accused her before the Bishop of Osray of having killed their fathers by sorcery, and of having brought on them such stolidity of their senses that they bequeathed all their wealth to her and her favorite son, William Outlaw, to the impoverishment of the other children.
Is that his real name?
That's, there's a lot of outlaws. I'm not exactly sure if in Ireland at the time, if that was like a common name. But like, there's a dude high up on the King's Council with the last name Outlaw as well, spelt the exact same.
That's interesting. I would have never guessed that could be somebody's last name.
Yeah, to tell the audience, it's Outlawe.
Do you think this last name could have morphed into
an outlaw?
Referring to people as outlaws? Like maybe a certain person was like super bad and then they were like, you're an outlaw?
That very well could be.
Or like a shitty family or something? That's interesting.
Very goddamn well could be. So, yeah, number 6, basically, that just says, she used sorcery to defraud all of her other husbands, basically.
Okay. She could just be smart.
Yeah. Now, the other children also claimed that her present husband, Sir John Lepoix, had become terribly emaciated. His nails had dropped off, and there was not a single hair left on his body. There was little doubt, according to the other children, that he would have died if he hadn't been warned by a maidservant of the sorcery he was being subjected to.
Sounds like I don't know. What makes your fucking nails fall off?
Like arsenic or something, right? I don't know.
I don't even think they would have had arsenic yet.
I don't know.
Unless he like accidentally was eating rocks or something. That's the only place I can think you could get it. Maybe there has to be a disease where like your nails fall off or
has
something.
To be. Like some kind of plague or something.
Do you think potato famine? No.
Ooh,
Could that have got him? No.
Because of the warning, Sir John Lepoix wrestled his wife's keys away from her and opened some chests in which he found a sack full of horrible and detestable things, which he surrendered to the bishop by the hands of 2 priests and several armed clergymen.
Was it Bjorn albums?
I think it was her. I think it was Bjorn's greatest hits.
She's the one who tore off the picture of the Pope, right?
No, that was Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor, right?
An actual Irish woman. Okay. York is from like Iceland.
Well, let's not split hairs here.
Yeah, I guess not. They're all weird forest people anyway. Now, Dame Alice had a certain demon, an incubus.
Hell yeah.
Please listen to the Creep It Real Incubus Succubus episode. It's fantastic and was recorded in this very room, Cody.
It was, indeed.
And this demon's name was Son of Art, or Robin, Son of Art, who had constant carnal knowledge of her, and from whom she admitted that she had received the means and ways to acquire all of her wealth. This incubus made its appearance under many various forms, sometimes a cat, a black dog, or the likeness of a Negro. Not my words, okay?
Not this, okay. All right, I believe you.
So we'll say the likeness of a black fella.
Didn't you say this story was written in... How old was it?
Right. Real quick. This story was originally documented in 1364. Then it was updated for contemporary audiences in 1564. And then updated again for contemporary audiences in 1910. So, I mean, it's still quite a bit, 110 years old the last time it was updated.
Can you imagine them finding the book from the 1300s and it probably just has like whiskey and fucking corned beef shavings all over the book?
Gross. And like pubes that are infected still.
Just red hair everywhere.
Oh, red curlies all over the goddamn place. Always, 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 the Son of Art was accompanied by two others who were larger and taller than he was, and one of whom was said to carry an iron rod.
We remember from our episodes, they really, like demons and stuff, like the iron rod's very strong.
They're a big fan.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is on the opposite side of that, the clerics, they're not allowed to use bladed weapons, you know?
Really?
Right? No,
I
paladins. Paladins.
I think you're thinking of like a role-playing game.
Of course I am. Of course I am. I'm thinking of D&D.
What I'm confused about is the demon's name is Art or Robin.
Robin, Son of Art.
Okay. That's not very, like, imposing.
His name is either Son of Art or Robin, Son of Art.
Usually you're thinking of, like, you know, a bunch of just vowels mixed together and, like, that's the demon's name.
What I was thinking is maybe Art was a bigger demon, and maybe this Robin, Son of Art is like a lesser demon that serves the bigger demon.
Is it ironic that, like, Robin's probably a pussy, kind of like Robin is with Batman?
Oh.
You know what?
You don't like Robin, do you?
Yeah, he's okay. Edgy Robin, or Nighthawk, I guess. Edgelord Robin.
Lame.
Nighthawk.
It's like they saw the Crow and were like, I wish we could make Batman the Crow.
I think it's the second Robin who gets killed by the Joker and then gets, like, resurrected again. I think that's a good Robin line.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
According to another source, the sacrifice to the evil spirit is said to have consisted of 9 red roosters and 9 peacock's eyes. Dame Alice was also accused of having
swept the streets of Kilkenny between Compline and Twilight, raking all the filth towards the doors of her son William Outlaw, murmuring secretly to herself these words, "To the house of William, my son, hie all the wealth of Kilkenny town." He or I don't know.
I don't know either. It's old Gaelic Irish stuff.
Kilkenny. That's kind of a sweet name, though. I kind of like
pretty
that.
right. Yeah. First time I ever heard it was in Whiskey in the Jarro by Metallica.
They talk about Kilkenny?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That song's all about Irish highwaymen.
Is it a big town?
It is.
Now it is?
Bustling. It always has been.
Is it? Okay.
The bishopric of Osray it's like a huge title in the Catholic faith.
I wonder if Kilkenny, if you like visit there, it has like really cool, like religious.
Guess what?
Stuff.
It does.
Does it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I imagine Dublin is just like people getting drunk and pissing in the streets.
There's also badass old shit there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to go to Northern Ireland.
I'll go Belfast. I want to go to every Ireland. I want to go to all of it.
That's like the dangerous one.
I know. I want to live in on the air. After hearing and believing above, the bishop wrote to the Chancellor of Ireland, Roger Outlaw, for the arrest of this coven. Now the favorite son William jumped immediately to his dear mother's defense. He called his banners and formed a strong party to oppose the bishop's demands, including getting the very same chancellor that authorized the arrest to put a 40-day halt on the arrest until a public writ of excommunication could be served.
Right. Might as well scare the entire public and get them on your side.
That's right.
I have a feeling this was probably just like a ladies' book club or something.
That's more than likely exactly what it was.
They're just reading like Oprah's, what is it called? Oprah's Book Club.
Oprah's Book of the Month or whatever. Yeah, Oprah's Book Club, yeah.
Reading like the Twilight book, and this guy, or actually no, were they scared of Twilight or Harry Potter? Harry Potter, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared of Twilight too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Further, the Chancellor also wrote to the bishop personally, requesting that he withdraw the case and ignore it completely. With the nobility of Ireland obviously not in his corner, the bishop took the matter into his own hands and cited the dame to appear before him, who was seeking refuge in her favorite son William's home.
Ooh.
So he says, fuck you, nobility. You will answer for your crimes of heresy, you witch.
Did you say who turned her in? Like did you say, maybe I missed it. Did you say who, like, told the bishop they were doing this? Or it's just her husband?
Yes, her children. The collection of her children turned her in. Like, from her 4 previous husbands.
That's not very nice of them.
No, I think it's kind of rude.
You gotta stick up for your mom, you little shits.
I think it's pretty fucking rude. As might be expected, she ignored the citation and fled immediately.
Smart.
Foiled in this plan, the proud and zealous bishop cited her son William for heresy. Upon hearing this, the Chancellor of Ireland came with William to the Priory of Kells, where Bishop de la Drede was holding a visitation, and asked him aggressively to not pursue the case any further.
Man, this bishop's got a fucking boner for this.
And he's not scared. Finding asking useless, threats came next, which were speedily carried out. As the bishop was tending to the garden of the cathedral the next day, he was met in the courtyard by Stephen Lepore, cousin of Dame Alice's current husband, and a company of armed men. The bishop was taken into custody under orders of Sir Arnold, Chancellor of Ireland.
These fucking names, dude.
It's pretty great, though.
Sir Arnold. Yeah. Okay. All right.
The bishop was imprisoned in Kilkenny jail, and this caused a tremendous buzz in the city. The Bishop of Ossory didn't get taken captive, period.
Wow. Okay, so the tides have turned on him.
The nobility's not having it, my friend.
I thought the church was like, well, I guess they're not going to overtake the nobility, but the church is like right up there with them, isn't it?
That's the balance. That's the steady balance. Which king do you serve more, the Pope or your true king?
Do you bring up which king it was in Ireland at this time?
I will.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
I absolutely will. Because I talk about why certain ones are not more witch huntery like their contemporaries in England. When Sunday came, the bishop desired the sacrament, and it was brought to him in a solemn, dramatic procession by all of the clergy members. Supporters from all sides of the city flocked to the prison to offer their consolation to the captive, and the crowd was soon whipped into a fervor by a rogue priest who began reciting, "Blessed are they which are persecuted."
This guy's a fucking martyr already.
Seeing this, William Outlaw nervously told Sir Arnold of the scene, who decided to keep the bishop in closer, tighter quarters, but immediately changed his mind, allowing him to have companions day and night, and also granted free admission to all of his friends and servants.
Ooh, that's nice of him.
So it's basically, he turned it into his own throne room, this prison room. It's basically like, anybody can come, bring whatever you want, hang out, do whatever you want. Just trying to keep the people from fucking, like, revolting.
So basically, it's very similar to, like, a celebrity's prison. Like, Lindsay Lohan's prison. What did she go to jail for again? I forgot.
Drug use or something? I can't even remember.
Being too ginger?
Yeah, I think that's it. After Bishop Ledred had been detained in prison for 17 days, the date in which William was set to appear in front of the bishop to face the charges of heresy had finally come to pass. That was William's plan all along. Just keep the bishop, keep the bishop until his appointed date went right by.
Smart.
And let him go.
I wish we could do this nowadays.
No kidding.
You get arrested, you put the judge in jail, you wait him out.
No crime.
Judge didn't show up for trial, so...
What a fool. Yeah. It was time to let the bishop out. Now that William no longer had to answer to these charges, the Bishop of Leyland and the Sheriff of Kilkenny sent a mandate to the constable of the prison to liberate the Bishop of Ossory, for the bishop refused to sneak out, even though his captors were practically encouraging him to do so.
Why would they do that? He's portraying himself as a hero right now.
They want to save face. They want to save face. They say, oh, that crafty bishop. We were going to let him out, but he snuck out anyway. He just couldn't wait to get away from us.
He used his magic powers and bent the bars.
On his release day, his servants brought his finest bishop's clothes, and a throng of armed faithful formed a procession all the way to St. Catherine's Cathedral, where he gave thanks to God for his safe and proper release.
That's nice.
The bishop, with zealous and righteous indignation, cited William Outlaw by public proclamation to appear before him for the charges of heresy.
Ooh.
But before the day arrived, the bishop himself was cited to appear in Dublin for overstepping his bounds as a church official.
I feel like we don't use heresy enough in modern times.
I think that might have something to do with the old separation of church and state.
I think we need to bring him back.
You think we should start charging heretics again?
Well, okay, I didn't say charging it. I just said let's start using the word more.
Okay.
Let's, start there. We'll start
there, and then we'll work our way.
Yeah, when someone doesn't agree with you, you have to instantly say you're a heretic.
Heretic.
That's heresy.
Perfect.
Let's start there.
Perfect. As you can see, nobles fighting clergy, fighting nobles, fighting clergy. It's a big old circle jerk of who's in charge, who has the proper authority, who can pass the final judgment. They're always tripping over each other's dicks over.
Yep.
The bishop excused himself from attending his hearing on the grounds that the lands he had to pass through to get to Dublin were held by Sir Arnold Lepore, and that if he were to travel, his very life would be in danger. So Sir Arnold traveled to the bishop. He was arrested in Kilkenny in 1324 and was denied a hearing by the Chancellor of Ireland. He was called a dirt-covered, disgusting, interloping monk by Sir Arnold Lepore, and was currently awaiting transport to Dublin to answer for his charges of overstepping.
Is the Chancellor, like, in the monarchy?
It's like the king's hand.
Is it the king's hand?
Basically,
okay.
yeah.
I was wondering how high up the Chancellor was. Okay, so yeah, he's got a big dick then.
Big old dick. And he's trying to keep the bishops in line and everything else in line.
Is it weird every time I hear the word Chancellor, all I think about is Super Mario Brothers? Isn't like that in the Mushroom Kingdom, isn't the king a Chancellor?
Is that Super Mario 3?
Well, I know it's Super Mario RPG.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's like the Chancellor, and for some reason they're all mushroom people, but for some reason he has the princess there.
Yeah.
I've never really figured that out, if it's like a weird thing, but...
It's better not to think about it.
And then there's just an Italian man who's there.
Italian plumber.
Okay.
Who runs his own kingdom. You may be asking yourself, where the hell is the alleged witch while all of this squabbling is going down that started over her?
Killing roosters and peacocks.
Well, she was eagerly watching the events safely from Dublin. And once the bishop got there, he would have to answer for having excommunicated her, and would then have to uncite, unadmonish, and unconvict Dame Alice of the crime of sorcery.
Ooh.
Things didn't go the way she wanted them to. Eventually, the archbishop got involved, and before it got papal attention, the archbishop wanted to shut shit down. He freed the Bishop de la Dread, who immediately began petitioning the chancellor to arrest and detain the dame, Alice Kyteler, before she could escape again.
He's still not giving up.
He won't do it.
I want to know on a personal level, what did this girl do to him?
That's what this author posits later on.
Okay.
He wonders what was the personal jealousy.
My theory is the bishop maybe tried to make sexual advances on her. She denied him. He has a point of authority. He's going to say she's a witch.
Now he just wants to see her burn. The bishop would even send letters to the Vicar General of Dublin to cite her to respond on a certain day in Kilkenny before the bishop.
Do we have a Vicar General anymore?
Yes. There are Vicar General. It's basically just like the Archbishop of the area.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But the Vicar General of Dublin is pretty big.
So Zach Parisi would be our Vicar General?
Absolutely.
Okay.
However that works, yes. But guess what, Cody?
What?
Alice would escape again. This time she fled from Dublin and made her way to England, where she spent the remainder of her days unmolested.
Perfect.
Several of her coven were subsequently arrested, a lot of them living very meager, very sad existences in squalor, without their dame. Their
they
mistress.
didn't have their leader.
Their names were Robert of Bristol, a clerk, John Galrusin, Ellen Galrusin, and Sissock Galrusin.
Oh, the old Galrusins. My favorite 80s sitcom.
The whole family.
Yeah.
Galrusin in charge. Then we have William Payne de Boley. We have Petronilla of Meath and her daughter Sarah.
I kind of like that name.
Well, get used to it, because it's the only one of these names that comes up again.
Hell yeah.
Alice, who was the wife of Henry Faber. There was Anota Lange and Eva Brownstone.
No, not Eva Brownstone.
Right.
Is that a character in Harry Potter?
Or Fable or something.
I swear I've heard Brownstone before. Quick side note. So I took the Disney Harry Potter test to see what house you belong to. Which one do you think? I was extremely disappointed. Which house do you think they put me in?
I'm going to say, if you were disappointed, I'm going to say they put you in Gryffindor.
Nope. No. Fucking Hufflepuff, the fucking hipster house.
Did they really put you in Hufflepuff?
Fuck. Yeah,
because you're such a gentle soul.
I guess. If I have to see one more person say, like, hashtag, like, Hufflepuff or something, I can't do it anymore.
No, I understand completely.
You need to take that test.
I took the Pottermore test, my friend.
Okay, what are you?
I was a Ravenclaw.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be.
I want to be a Slytherin.
I wanted Hufflepuff.
You wanted Hufflepuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I love the black and gold, my friend.
Well, you're going to assume my name, and I'll assume your name.
All right.
And we'll
just
call
switch.
it from there. Yeah.
Perfect. When the bishop arrived back in Kilkenny from Dublin, he went directly to the prison and interviewed all of these unfortunate souls, as he calls them. For some reason, they all immediately admitted to the charges pressed against them and began admitting to other crimes that were never even brought up. What they also all had in common was Dame Alice. They all agreed she was the mother and mistress of them all.
I can only imagine they did some old school Catholic persuasions where they're like breaking their fucking bones and burning them and shit.
Yeah, branding them a little and stuff.
Oof, they did some nasty shit, dude. What is it, the rack? Is it the rack they put them on?
Stretch them.
I think most people would start admitting to everything once you're on that fucking thing.
You show me that, I'll tell you whatever you want. Returning to the chapel, the bishop's wheels were spinning. He knew that William Outlaw would block any attempt at a warrant to get these witches out of Kilkenny to face higher justice. The sheriff immediately denied his warrant, so he had to go through the justiciary. Which are agents of a higher court, who also agreed to deal with the case from here on out as Bishop Deladred kept getting stonewalled at every turn.
So they actually, like, had warrants and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah, because
shocking.
she is nobility, so you can't just go against...
Okay, right.
A title of the crown, you know what I mean?
That's a good point. I feel like this is going to start a war or something.
Right. So basically it's like they're bringing in the feds at this point. That's what this justiciary is. And they're going to come in and take the investigation because the bishop keeps getting locked up.
Yeah.
And every time, and he's not very good at politics, so every time they let him out, he just gets locked up again. Because it's like he walks out of jail and is like, I pressed the same charges that I got arrested for.
Dude, just move on. Just charge a different woman. Leave her alone.
Or like to think of a different way to do it. Don't just jump head first right back in.
Just go drink your wine and eat your bread and shut the hell up.
No shit. Before the justiciary could arrive with the treasurer, the king's council, and the chancellor, the bishop insisted William Outlaw appear before him to answer for his mother's and his own heresy. He just couldn't wait.
Jesus Christ.
William showed up to the meeting with at least 100 men armed to the teeth, and Bishop Deladred, with his balls of brass, wasn't deterred in the slightest.
You know what? You gotta admire his ambition.
You really can't.
What do you think weapons they were armed with? Like, what was the Irish, like, high class, like a mace, like a clay?
Spears, swords.
Spears? Okay.
Yeah, all right.
The shattered Guinness bottles on a stick. Actually, with Irish, I could just see him fighting. Just like bare knuckle fighting, yeah.
He was formally charged with 34 counts, including heresy, defending heretics, usury, perjury, adultery, clericide, and excommunication.
Clericide? That's a thing? Okay.
Killing a holy man. Yeah.
Okay.
He was permitted to defend himself only when the justiciary arrived. Once they did arrive, the priests and the noble lawyers got together to officially levy joint charges against the dame Alice Kyteler and her coven. Working together now. Nobility in the church.
I don't understand. She's way in England, probably like whatever they do in England around this time. Probably the same thing.
Much worse. We'll get into it.
Okay.
The consensus of the lawyers present declared her a sorceress, magician, heretic, and demanded that she be handed over to the church arm and have her goods and land seized as well.
That's not very nice. Remember last week when I joked that, or was it 2 weeks ago that I joked that I want to be arrested for sorcery?
Yeah.
I don't think I want that anymore.
No. We'll put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
We'll forget about that.
Leave me alone, bishops.
As a warning to the town, the bishop arranged a large fire to be lit in the center of town, in which he burnt the sack full of magical items consisting of powders, ointments, human nails, hair, herbs, worms, and other abominations, which he had received from his little goon squad of priests.
That he claims were Alice's.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That her husband that lost all of his hair found while he was looking through her shit.
Hey, weird people keep fucking fingernails and shit, dude, so...
I do.
Ugh.
I mean, I'd rub them
We
all
talked
over
about
me.
this before, how disgusting, like, a jar of nails is.
Like that Nintendo Power advertisement.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
More trouble arose for young William Outlaw as well. The favorite star son of Alice Kyteler was backed by the chancellor and the treasurer, but the bishop succeeded in holding him captive, forced him to submit on bended knee.
Ooh.
For penance, he was ordered to hear at minimum 3 masses a day for a year, feed a certain number of poor people, and recover half of the church in lead.
Okay. I would say for 3 masses a day for a year, I might just say burn me at the stake.
Yeah, kill me.
Yeah.
That's so long.
Yeah.
That's so long.
That's a lot of church. If people don't know, Catholic masses are literally 45 minutes to an hour every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible.
And he had to go 3 a day for 365 days.
Ugh, yuck.
He agreed thankfully and wholeheartedly, but subsequently refused to fulfill his obligations and ended up in prison until he died.
What are you doing?
He just he just thought once he got back to his castle or whatever, he'd be good to go.
I was wondering, with this guy's name, is he like? Is there? It's a French name, right?
Irish.
De whatever.
Oh no, it's a Franciscan name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As far as the other members of the Dame's Magic Circle, their fate is for the most part unknown. The one we certainly know about is Petronilla of Meath.
Oh yeah, my girl.
She was made the personal scapegoat for her mistress's crimes. The bishop had her flogged 6 times until she made the required confession of magical practices.
That's like with the whip, right?
Yeah.
Like, does that have to be a cat of 9 tails, or is that just any
You can
whip?
flog them with just about anything.
Ugh.
She admitted casting out her faith and sacrificing to Robin, son of Art, and that she had caused several women she was jealous of to appear to have goat horns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of cool.
It's one of her rad crimes.
I've never seen a woman grow goat horns out of nowhere, but
What?
all right.
She also confessed that at Dame Alice's suggestion, she had consulted demons and received responses from them, and that she had acted as a medium between the demons' world and our own. Petronilla said that although she was indeed a mistress of the black arts, she was nothing compared to the dame from whom she had learnt all her knowledge, and none in the world were more skilled than she.
Well, I can say this. Alice sounds pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, like a real witch
Yeah.
mother should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
There was one last thing Petronilla confessed. William Outlaw deserved death just as much as anyone, for he was privy to all of the sorceries. And for over a year he had worn the devil's girdle around his body. While the Inquisition squad was searching through Dame Alice's house, they found a piece of sacrament bread with the devil's name stamped upon it instead of Jesus Christ, and a pipe of ointment with which she greased a staff that she used to pleasure herself.
Is this real? Is
Hey.
this real?
What do you want me to say?
Okay. All right.
What do you want me to say? I'm telling you about a book that was translated like 4 times in 4 different time pages.
Do you remember when that fucking... I think it was like after the first couple Harry Potter movies, they had the little staff you could buy?
No, the broom.
The broom.
Yeah.
The broom. And
The Nimbus 2000. And little girls were booping themselves.
They were pleasuring themselves.
Yeah.
And didn't one of them fall on it and it like punctured her insides?
I don't know. That could be an urban legend. That's like the guy who stuck the plunger on the floor of the shower and he would ride it, and then one day it fell. He slipped in the shower and impaled his guts with it.
Ooh, the internal bleeding is fucking...
It doesn't sound fun.
Not at all. Oof.
Petronilla of Meath was condemned to be burned alive, and the execution took place in Kilkenny on November 3rd, 1324, which the book says fell on a Sunday. I didn't look it up. I didn't cross-reference with any calendars.
Do they even have calendars from this long ago?
I assume. This, in fact, was the first instance of death by fire being used to punish heresy in Ireland. How exciting.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? Holy fuck.
I got you, boys.
I wonder where this idea came out of. They're just like...
Oh, England's been doing it for years at this point. And will be doing it even harder years afterwards. They have a couple witch hunter kings coming up. That, I mean, not in this story, unfortunately, but now that I'm learning this history of like, it's pretty cool.
I feel like England had a big resurgence of like witch trials in like the 1500s
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And then Germany was really bad from 17 to 1800, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Like was mentioned a little earlier, we have no idea if the other members were punished, but the burning of that unfortunate woman seems to be a beginning instead of an end of persecution, for numerous other suspected men and women shared her terrible fate from here on out.
So I'm assuming they were killing quote-unquote witches, right, before this? Or is this like the first launching point?
This is the beginning launching point.
So this bishop just got it in his head that they were a witch.
Yeah.
And then kind of just ran with it. And started a snowball.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
He set Ireland down a pretty witch hunty turn. A prolific journaler of the time had this to say.
With regard to the other heretics and sorcerers who belonged to the pestilential society of Robin, son of Art, the order of law being preserved, some of them were publicly burnt to death, others, confessing their crimes in the presence of all the people, in an upper garment, are marked black, and front with a cross after they had been abjured their heresy. As is the custom, others were solemnly whipped through the town and the marketplace. Jesus, okay. Some people would pay for this nowadays.
I know.
Others were banished from the city and diocese. Others, who evaded jurisdiction of the church, were excommunicated, while others again fled in fear and were never heard of after. And thus, by the authority of the Holy Mother Church, and by the special grace of God, that most foul brood was scattered and destroyed. Dude,
it's like Castlevania Season 1 on Netflix.
You know what? Actually, I'm a little disappointed. I've never watched the second season.
It's good.
It's good?
It's,
I know they left off with, like, a la carte.
Man, like, that first season was so good and mysterious, and the second season plays into anime tropes pretty hard.
Really?
But it is good.
It is good. Okay, and is it just 4 parts again?
No, I think it's 8 or 10 episodes.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll have to do that this weekend.
It's worth it. If this were a Scorsese movie, things would start to fall apart and spiral out of control for our hero clergyman, Bishop de la Dread.
I'm guessing they don't.
Sir Arnold Lepore, who had taken a huge part in the entire affair, was the next to be brought up on charges. The bishop accused the chancellor of heresy, had him excommunicated, and committed as a prisoner to Dublin Castle.
Whoa. How does he get so much power now?
Listen, he just like before, he's back out the gate punishing. He's back out the gate accusing.
Jesus.
My boy Bishop de la Dread doesn't take shit.
This seriously reminds me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the High Sparrow.
Yeah, how he just somehow gets power over everybody.
God, very powerful.
I guess.
The bishop was feeling pretty embarrassed at this point. His power was being checked at every turn. After all, he is the Bishop of Osray. No small title indeed.
Nope.
These actions weren't seen as particularly fair by the people, and Sir Arnold was believed innocent by most. The justiciary of Ireland showed Sir Arthur some kindness and compassion, and this enraged the bishop so much, he actually accused the justiciary of heresy.
Okay. He's really overstepping his power now.
A committee of clerics was forced to gather in order to vindicate Sir Arthur, and afterwards, as a sign of atonement for hastily excommunicating him, they prepared a sumptuous banquet for him.
All haggis?
Probably all haggis, if I were to, and tripe. This is where the other shoe drops for poor Bishop de la Drede. He himself was accused of heresy by his archbishop, Alexander de Bicknor, upon which he appealed directly to the Pope and set out in person to Rome for penance. He endured a long exile from his diocese, suffered much hardship, and had his lands and churches seized by the Crown of Ireland as well.
Ooh.
In 1339, he managed to recover the royal favor, but 10 years later still, accusations of heresy were brought to the king, and he was once again banished from the lands.
This is like the longest story of finger pointing I've ever heard in my life.
It's just tattling, finger pointing.
But the crazy thing is, honestly, this is like literally what happened in like the Salem witch trials.
Sure.
Just finger pointing at everybody, and it just kind of creates like a hysteria effect. And then it's just, well, I guess this guy did a lot of harm, but I guess he's kind of out of commission.
He's kind of nuts. By 1356, the storm had blown over, not because the king had forgiven him yet again, but because he died old and mentally disturbed. He was still allowed to be buried in his appointed gravesite as a bishop.
That was nice of him.
If more information were available, it's entirely possible that one of the most interesting movies could be written based off this premise. One of the things it would be able to throw considerable light on would be the relations between church and state in the 14th century of Ireland.
Right.
Looking at this through a historical lens, if Dame Alice and her associates actually tried to practice magical arts, and that is a big if, considering the time period, we cannot blame the bishop for taking the steps he did. On the other hand, it's been proven that de la Drede was swayed by his lesser base motives, such as greed of gain and the desire for revenge.
What do you think he gained out of it? Just power?
Power. Money, respect, land, more churches.
Okay, if they take it away from Alice, does the church get it?
She's just an easy target to boost his standing up. If he can stop a witch coven in his diocese, then the Pope will definitely look favorably on him.
Right.
Move him up to cardinal status or whatever. He also seems to have been tyrannical, overbearing, and dictatorial. According to him and a select hardcore group of Catholic bishops of the time, the church's decisions should never be questioned, especially not by the state. Although his methods and motives and means were all extremely questionable, de la Drede remained stoic and steadfast in what he believed. He was just as ready to be persecuted as he was to persecute. He did not hesitate to face opposition, no matter how goddamn noble. He did not fear imprisonment nor attack, both of which he faced. He remained firmly on the course he had mapped out for himself. A lunatic zealot, in my opinion, if I'm allowed to still give that.
I think he wanted, there's no, a part of me thinks he would have been completely fine with being deemed a martyr. Because if you're that religious, you're doing something, quote unquote, for the church.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter if you get killed in the process.
Hey,
because you're
just like Christ, right?
Right. I love when crazy people compare themselves to Christ, if you even believe in him, but the ultimate martyr.
And how they get so far up in the church, you know?
I still think the girl, or he tried to do something to the girl and she denied him.
Has to be,
then
right?
Then he started this whole big horse shit over it.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Or she made fun of his little wiener or something, you know? Here's a little history here.
Let's do it.
This all could have been avoided, possibly. You know? Maybe the shame and defamation of Miss Alice, Dame Alice, could have been avoided. But The appointment of de la Drede to the bishopric of Ossory was one of the first orders of fresh Pope John the 22nd.
I was wondering this. I don't know if you know this, but okay, obviously popes, they share a lot of the same names.
Yeah.
Do they change their name when they become pope?
Yeah.
Okay. I was literally wondering that the other day because I was thinking of Pope Pius for some reason.
Yeah. You pick a I don't know if you pick it or it's like you hear what your name should be from God or whatever. Now this pope had a bit of a witch problem. He believed himself surrounded by enemies who were constantly modeling wax figures of him, sticking pins through them, and then immolating them.
Fuck yeah.
He also believed his subjects would send him rings that contained the devil himself. Because of this, in several papal bulls, he denounced sorcerers and their ill deeds, created witch-hunting inquisitors against them, and gave military authorization against even the belief in magical forces.
You know what? Actually, I left off on Fables. You're a fan of Fables.
Yes.
Right when they started bringing in, was it Gretel?
Uh-huh.
Or was it Hansel? He's the witch hunting inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of badass.
Fables was so good.
It's so good.
His Holiness, Pope John the 22nd, had this to say.
They sacrifice to demons and adore them, making or causing to be made images, rings, etc., with which they draw the evil spirits by their magic art, obtain responsibilities from them, and demand their help in performing their evil designs. Sounds like a graphic designer or something.
Right?
It doesn't sound that bad.
And they charge by the hour, which is much better than a quote up front. Yeah, it's the Pope does not like witches. He does not like demons.
This whole story's reminded me of how many times a crazy person has came into power,
right?
And everybody just goes along with them.
Oops, I guess we have to follow this madman now. Heresy and sorcery were now identified and immediately classified and punishable by the same method, burning at the stake and confiscation of property.
Ooh.
There are certainly other factors at play as well, ones that we can't even begin to guess at. Because this took place in 1324, and we can't know the depth of the discontent and anger of the children that were left penniless by the dame having undue influence over their fathers, either by being a real charming beauty or by using powders and love potions.
Never heard of a love powder.
Me neither. Prior to the 17th century, this case stands alone in the history of magical dealings in Ireland. The entire proceedings are recorded within very few years of the event, and other early writings reference the case quite a bit. This incredibly early account is made more valuable by the fact that those who were best qualified at the time to give their opinion on the matter show up in the credits for the writings. They all verify, at the very least, this is the oldest and most accurate known case of witchcraft in Ireland. But let's go back to our good friend Bishop Le Drede for a second. When he rises to power in 1317, he holds his first gathering to set some rules and goals for the church in Ossory region. Keep in mind, this takes place 7 years before the events with Dame Alice Kyteler.
So do you think that the Pope kind of like conditioned him with his same beliefs and sent him here on purpose?
Either that, or he knew about Le Drede's leanings already, knew that he enjoyed hunting witches, and said
he could kind of make him do what his wills or whatever. Gotcha.
Maybe test some witch hunting for the rest of the Catholic world, you know.
Right.
A certain new and pestilential sect is in our parts, differing from all the faithful in the world, filled with a devilish spirit, more inhuman than heathens or Jews, who pursue the priests and bishops of the Most High God equally in life and death, by spoiling and rending the patrimony of Christ in the Diocese of Ossory.
I love how they throw in heathens or Jews.
Listen, it's rough.
Okay,
it's rough.
It's
rough.
Times haven't changed much.
This is from his very first speech. So from this speech alone, evidence points that heresy and unorthodoxy had already made their first appearances in the diocese. After 1324, when the Kyteler fiasco went down, in 1327, Adam Dubb of the Leinster tribe O'Toole was burnt alive on College Green for denying the doctrines of the Incarnation and the Holy Trinity, as well as for rejecting the authority of the bishop. In 1335, Pope Benedict XII wrote a letter to King Edward III in which he says,
"It has come to our attention that while the Bishop of Ossory was visiting his diocese, there appeared in the midst of the good Catholic people some who asserted that Jesus Christ was a mere man and a sinner, and was justly crucified for his own sins. Others, having done homage and offered sacrifice to demons, thought otherwise of the sacrament of the body of Christ, saying that Christ is by no means to be worshipped."
Thank you, Chinese Pope.
I'm trying to think, this kind of like reminds me of just, I don't know, I can't, there's like a group of kids, like maybe like 15-year-old Gothic kids, I feel like would be fitting right in here.
He's talking bad about me. They can't be worshipped. At this time, there are no active inquisitors of heresy appointed in Ireland. The Pope thought there was no need. A witch outbreak in hardcore Catholic Ireland? Come on.
Not logical.
What was what's the old bit from... Come on, man.
What? Oh, that was on ESPN.
Yeah, who was that?
Come on, man. What, did they just play a video of like a bishop burning somebody? Come on, man. Or he's got her like on the pole and he's trying to light it and his lighter won't work. Or
Keeps running out of fluid.
Come on, man. And he starts himself on fire. Come on, man. See, now that is a highlight I would love to see on ESPN.
Yes, ESPN witch burning. ESPN 1324. Either way, the Pope reached out to the king to send prompt assistance to the bishop and any other holy man they can in their effort to root out and punish the heretics. Here's another good one. At one point in 1223, the Archbishopric of Cashel, which resided in the county right next door, became vacant. The Pope set aside the election and appointed a nominee of his own, one Master M. Scott.
Is that really his first name?
No.
Okay.
It's actually Michael Scott.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
He declined the office on the ground that he was ignorant of the Irish language. This Michael Scott was none other than the famous Irish wizard of which apparently the entire country knows about. He even has a little song.
When in Salamanca's cave, when he raised his magic wand to wave, the bells would ring in Notre Dame.
Aww.
Did I ever tell you that? The elementary Catholic school I went to is called Notre Dame.
Was it?
Yeah.
Were you the Fighting Irish?
No.
No?
We were the brainwashed children. That's what we were.
It's a pretty famous name in the Catholic world. Scott had studied extensively at Oxford and Paris, where he acquired the title of Mathematicus, which sounds pretty cool.
He ain't getting laid with that, I'll tell you that much.
As a mathematicus?
No.
Get out of here,
no
you
chick is gonna go for that.
Yeah. Go crunch some numbers, Melvin. He then continued to study all throughout Europe, eventually passing through Palermo and ending his studying pilgrimage in Toledo.
Kansas?
Holy Toledo, they
Kansas?
say. That's right.
Toledo,
That's right.
Kansas?
That's right. At the junior college in Toledo.
Independence. Pirates.
Yeah. His refusal of the bishopric was a huge intellectual loss to the Irish Church, for he was so widely renowned. His extensive pants learning.
He's a Mormon. He's got magical pants.
For he was so widely renowned for his extensive learning that he was credited with supernatural powers.
Damn.
He was too smart, and since he didn't want to work for the church, he was obviously a devil. He was obviously a devil/demon worshiper.
To be fair, like Stephen Hawking's and Neil deGrasse Tyson, they scare me.
Yeah.
I think they might be witches, but
True.
Space
Neil deGrasse
witches.
Tyson is just annoying.
Space witches.
Truth. Even Dante in the Divine Comedy places Michael Scott in the 8th circle of hell.
Is that Judas? Is that Jesus' tears?
I don't know. I can't remember what 8 and 9 are. 9's the lowest.
Okay. I think 9 is where Judas is crying so much it's like a lake of ice.
Oh.
That's one of the rings. Maybe.
I thought 9 was where you fought Satan with a giant horse dick. In the game Dante's Inferno or whatever.
Everybody go on YouTube and Google last boss of Dante's Inferno. Yeah. And yeah, they don't even need that in there.
No.
For some reason, his dick's like 2 foot long.
I've never seen a more bouncy dick in a video game.
I don't know. Maybe the 8th realm is like frozen Judas tears.
Maybe. That's where Michael Scott is anyway.
This is where Dunder Muffin is.
This Dunder Muffin? Dunder Mifflin, yes.
Oh, yes.
This did not stop all throughout history. Fast forward to 1541, the time period you were talking about earlier. The quote-unquote natural law still held sway in Ireland, but soon a statute would need to come in place to protect the population from the dark arts. 2 statutes had already been established in England, and the Irish Parliament adopted new anti-magic policies officially in 1586.
Damn.
There were suddenly 7 different ways you could die as a felon in Ireland. Not only that, if someone was killed in the process of a sorcerer casting a spell, the sorcerer was immediately killed and stripped of all lands and titles.
Can you imagine if, like, I would love to, like, put a bunch of LARPers, like, right in this time period, like that lightning bolt kid.
Lightning bolt.
I would love to see what happens.
Dude, that would be solid.
Does he just get burned immediately?
That would be solid. He would get tied up and fucking burned immediately.
Guys, you're casting a too real of a fireball on me.
Guys, this was supposed to be fun.
We're just role-playing, guys.
This must be a really intense role-playing group. If someone was maimed or injured during the process of spellcasting, the sorcerer would be jailed for 1 year and 1 day, and a regent would rule any counties or duchies in their place. Also during that year, every quarter during the fair, the accused shall stand open in the stocks for 6 hours, and shall openly confess his or her error. So for 6 hours during each fair, you gotta stand up there and be embarrassed.
What is a 1500s Irish fair like?
I think it's just where like all the farmers bring their stuff and then the people get their stuff to make gruel soup for the next 4 months.
Whenever I see fair spelled like that, I always think of World of Warcraft and the Dark Moon Fair, but I know it's not that fun.
No. It's probably like, here, have the potato the worms didn't eat.
There's probably like buckets people are shitting in constantly just sitting there.
It's like poop bucket. So, you get embarrassed for the first strike. Second strike, you suffer death as a felon.
Okay, so technically Lightning Bolt Kid wouldn't have been killed because he was just injuring people. He wasn't killing them yet.
You would be jailed for 1 year and a day and forced 4 times during that year to stand naked in the stocks.
I just keep imagining him with his fucking outfit on.
Lightning bolt.
They were just acorns, man. Come on.
Now, apparently, at the time, these statutes were considered kind. It made no mention of allowing torture to extract evidence. And for
That's bullshit. We know that.
And for the budding witch hunters of the land, it offered no real fun way to kill the witches. These were justice hangings, and they weren't even allowed to burn the witches alive at the stake. They had to be strangled first.
Do you think that's better?
No, but maybe some of these witch hunters that are doing it because they get horny off of it.
I thought you meant like being strangled to death versus being burnt to death.
Oh, I don't know. I would probably rather be strangled.
Yeah.
Probably.
Although there's that rumor that when you're burned, your nerves are killed instantly.
Well,
and then
you can find that out. I'm a little too scared.
I'll go down with Lightning Bolt Boy.
All right.
We're going down together, goddammit.
I'm not sure if this is racist or not, Cody. You're going to have to kind of tell me this. But this good man named Barnaby Rich has this to say of Ireland in the late 1500s.
The Irish are wonderfully addicted to the credence of the prognostications of soothsayers and witches. I don't think that's racist.
What he's saying is that the Irish are a superstitious, magic-believing people by nature.
We still know that.
They're leprechaun people, so we know that.
I think they still believe in fairies and stuff.
I think so.
Someone's going to send us a hate mail, but I think they do.
I was just listening to a podcast where it says, like, fairy shit is, like, it's pretty prevalent over there. They bring it up pretty often.
We shouldn't make too much fun of them because literally people here in the United States still believe that they can be assaulted by demons or that Satan's tainting them or Satan's convincing them to cheat on their wife or God knows what.
Yeah.
So we're not that much different.
We're all the same in the end. We're all pink in the middle. Ew. Sorcerers were running rampant on the Emerald Isle, so much so that the nobility was infected. Gerald, 4th Earl of Desmond, commonly referred to as the Great Earl, was betrayed and killed in 1583, but his name lives on in mythology, for he is credited as being a husband or a son to a goddess.
I have a feeling inbreeding has something a lot to do with this.
There's just no clear, like... The writings don't make it clear whether he was son or husband to. Either way, across the Earl's wide and expansive lands sat a picturesque lake, Lake Gur, and our Earl would hang out at the bottom of the lake enchanted for hours and hours at a time.
Okay.
According to legend, he was a very potent magician and usually resided in a castle which was built on a small island on his lake.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Like a wizard castle in the middle of the lake, yeah. To this castle, he brought a young and beautiful bride, and he loved her with a jealous, anxious passion. One day, she presented herself in the chamber in which her husband practiced his dark arts, and begged him to show her the wonders of the evil science.
Sounds like he was just into some freaky shit.
Like his bondage chamber?
Yeah. Was it on 50 Shades of Grey? He's like, is that where you play Xbox? Or he's like, what's in that room? Is that where you play Xbox? And then it's all that fucking bondage shit everywhere.
I hate to be God's honest with you, Cody. I've never seen 50 Shades of Grey.
That is Casey's, like, 3rd favorite movie ever.
Besides the remake of...
What? 13 Hours to Benghazi?
That and the remake of Point Break.
Ah, right. Oh, God, that's horrible.
With the greatest reluctance, the Earl of Desmond relented, but warned her that she must prepare herself to witness a series of nightmares in order to comprehend the magics. Once the process was started, it could not be halted and could not be reversed. And if she spoke even a single word during the proceedings, the castle and all it contained would sink to the bottom of Lake Gur.
So obviously this guy's making it up to get laid.
I think so, yeah. And he really loved this chick. He didn't want her being impressed by some other dude or whatever, you know. I get it. That would be rough. Obviously, the young, gorgeous, desperately smothered bride gave in to her curiosity and gave him her word. So he commenced, muttering a spell as he stood before her. Feathers sprouted thickly all over him. His face became contracted and hooked. A corpse smell filled the air, and the heavy thumping of giant vulture wings filled the room.
I think this is how Brock impressed Michelle.
Oh!
It's the same love story.
He
turned into a bird and flew away.
The Earl was gone, and the vulture swooped around the room, looking as if it were about to dive on his wife at any point. Then the bird landed near the door, and in less than a minute, changed, although she did not see how, into a horribly deformed and dwarfish hag, who, with yellow skin hanging about her face and cavernous eyes, swung herself on crutches towards the lady, her mouth foaming with fury, and her grimaces and contortions becoming more and more hideous at every moment, until she rolled with a fearful yell on the floor in horrible convulsions.
So it went from a prince or whatever to a fucking hag?
An earl to a vulture to a hag.
It's not sexy.
Another instantaneous change turned the hag into a giant serpent, and still the wife would not make a peep. It charged directly for her, coiled perfectly for a dripping, venomous strike. Right before it sank its fangs in her flesh, her husband stood before her, pale and with his finger on his lips, enforcing the continued necessity of silence.
He's a druid. Shape-shifting druid.
Shout out to our boy in blue.
Oh, yeah.
He's not in blue at all. He's just a boy. He then laid himself fully on the floor and began to stretch, longer and longer, until his head nearly reached to the other side of the 20-foot room, and his feet the other. This was the tipping point for the poor girl. She could not handle the magic. She gave a wild scream of horror, and the castle sank to the bottom of the lake.
Oh, no.
Once in 7 years, the great Earl rises, and rides by night on his white horse around Lake Gur. You'll recognize the horse by the distinct ghost-like features of it, and it has silver shoes. Once those silver shoes are worn out, the spell that holds the Earl will be broken, and he will regain possession of his vast estates and damn near royal power.
That is an awesome story.
Right?
That is fucking awesome.
In the early 1800s, a man named Teague O'Neill claimed to have seen him under the following strange conditions. O'Neill was a blacksmith, and his forge stood on the brow of a hill overlooking a lake on an often abandoned part of the road. One night, on a very bright moon, he was working very late and quite alone. While waiting for some raw metal to melt, he heard the clattering of many hoofs ascending the steep and winding road that passed by his forge. Standing in the doorway, he saw a man on a white horse, dressed in a fashion unfamiliar to Mr. O'Neill. This man was accompanied by an entire company of similarly dressed men. They rode up the hill at a gallop, but the pace slowed as they drew near, and the rider of the pale white horse, who seemed to hold himself as a nobleman, drew bridle and came to a halt before the smith's very door.
Ooh.
He did not speak, and all of his men were silent, but he beckoned to the smith and pointed down at one of the horse's hooves. Teague stooped and raised it, and held it just long enough to see that it was a silver shoe, which in one place was almost worn completely through. O'Neill knew what this meant immediately and recoiled with a terrified but silent prayer. The Earl of Desmond's time on earth was almost upon us again. The Earl struck out at O'Neill with what felt like an icy whip, and a streak seemed to go through his entire body, and at the same time the entire army broke into a gallop and disappeared down the hill.
Wow, that's badass.
All of this to say, there's some stories of cool magic and shit from Ireland. It really started as just, I was just trying to do the Dame Alice story, and then I just kept going. Like, the next chapter was all about the laws and shit, like how that changed.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like, originally this story was just supposed to be the Dame Alice story, but it spiraled way out of control.
I really like the Earl. The Earl's
that's
badass.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Like a badass magician ghost that's haunted and can only ride around every 7 years.
Okay, do you remember is silver like a soft metal like gold is? Okay. Would make very good shoes then.
Wait.
Like, you know, gold...
Erase that part. Gold is super pliable.
Right.
Silver's very hard, yeah.
Okay, so maybe silver shoes be good. Okay. All right, yeah, that's cool. I wonder, can you go there, you think, like, to where this legend is and, like, they still talk about it, you think?
I think definitely.
Not necessarily that they believe it, but, like, they talk about it.
Because I've seen a shirt of it.
Oh, really?
Because I looked it up, yeah.
That's fucking sweet. Yeah. That is awesome.
It's like a pretty cool artist's rendition. It looks like a heavy metal version. It's pretty cool.
Well, when you hear on a white horse, I mean, I instantly thought of, is it Revelations?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is it Jesus on a pale horse?
No, it's Johnny Cash.
Shout out Johnny Cash. But no, Adam, that was great. That was, we love witches here.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe not so much bishops with too much power.
Bishops creep me out, man.
That's a little scary.
Yeah. They're a little too much for me.
But it's a great lesson in just how things can get out of control very fast.
I'm sure I pronounced some stuff wrong, so go ahead and correct me on that at bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com.
What's that, Adam?
bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com. As always, follow us on Twitter at bumblebuttpod and on Facebook and Instagram at bumblebuttpodcast. Also, we have personal Instagrams. Jordan's is at j.j.fox. Mine is at bumbleadam. Cody's is at CodyZabub. Now it's time for the most important part of the show, at least if you ask Cody, the iTunes reviews.
And we actually got 2 written ones, I believe, this week.
Oh, my.
So we'll start off with Blade Okay, I think it's 57777774553. He put cool beans 5 stars. I haven't heard that expression in a long time. Cool beans. I prefer beans hot, but the show good, me laugh long time.
Oh, racist.
You're very racist, but thank you.
I love it.
Thank you, Mr. Blade with lots of numbers.
You're a beast, Blade.
All right, our next one is from Carly Gregory. Bumble binging at its finest.
Carly Gregory, who I just saw today.
Did you?
Yeah.
You said she really enjoyed a sticker.
Oh, yes.
Right?
One of the stickers we made, yeah.
Right. Though it brings me a little shame, I'm happy to say I binged my way through the entire podcast in a mere 2 weeks. Possibly one of the most well-researched podcasts I've ever listened to.
Oh.
I'm constantly laughing with every one of Cody's mispronunciations,
Yeah.
Adam's, yeah, baby, yeah, baby, and Jordan's seemingly ceremonial beer cracks. Keep up the excellent work, guys. You know what? It's funny because I was embarrassed of my pronunciations at first. Now I get to wear it with the badge of honor.
Exactly.
I've conditioned the audience to understand I'm a little simple, so
you get to wear it.
Yeah.
You get to wear it.
Perfect.
It's gorgeous. Jeepers. All right, that's great. Thank you very much, Carly. Thank you very much, Blade, with a bunch of numbers. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys. That was amazing.
All right, Cody, how about we pack it up and we all go home?
Let's do that.
All right, man. That's going to do it for me. I've been Adam. And that's been Cody. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Adam.
R.I.P. Jordan.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next life. We'll see you again soon.
Hopefully he was
Rip in
burned
peace.
at the stake.
I bet he was. I hope he wasn't strangled first, so we can know
Yeah.
when he comes back to
I
life.
hope it's on
whether or not.
YouTube later tonight.
What if he was like one of those Chinese monks that burn themselves for...
He's not that cool.
Freedom.
He's not that cool.
Well, I wish he was. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. I'll see you later. Have a great weekend. Unless it's Tuesday.